Welcome back to Baha'i On Air, everyone. I'm Jane.
I'm Mark.
And we're back for another deep dive.
That's right, another deep dive.
Today, we are looking at a letter from the Universal House of Justice.
To the Baha'is of the United States.
Yep, to the Baha'is of the U.S.
It dated July 22nd, 2020.
This letter is it's just rich with content and perspective. So much to unpack.
It really is. It speaks to such a particular moment in time. I mean, it addresses the Baha'is of the United States, but it's this moment, I think, that resonates.
Globally, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's part of what makes it so interesting from my perspective, is that it speaks to this moment where, I mean, as the House of Justice puts it, a moment of historic portent.
Yeah.
And that's what's so amazing about it, is that they recognize this moment in the U.S. as this time of really heightened social conscience and just an enormous opportunity for social change, especially as it relates to racial prejudice.
Yeah, it's like the nation is really reckoning with some of the deepest issues that it faces.
Absolutely.
In the House of Justice, right from the beginning of this letter, they link this moment to the destiny of America.
Yes, anticipated in the sacred writings.
Yeah.
And the mission that was given by Abdu'l-Bahá to the Baha'is in the U.S.,
Yeah.
I mean, he held them in such affection. I mean, he really did. When you read his words, you can just feel that he had such an expectation and such a love for them, and just a deep sense of calling them to this path of sacrifice and high endeavor. It's moving.
It's true. And I think you can feel that, too, reading this letter from the House of Justice. I think they feel that historical connection as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that comes through in the way that they just so clearly and explicitly are praising, right?
Yes.
National Spiritual Assembly and all the local spiritual assemblies, and the way that they're rising to the occasion, meeting these opportunities that are arising not only from current events, but just the sustained systematic effort that the U.S. Baha'i community has been undertaking to remedy the nation's ills. I think that's really encouraging for everyone, not just in the U.S., but around the world, to see that.
And then, following that beautiful expression of praise, is this heartfelt prayer, I think is how I read it.
Oh, absolutely.
This prayer for the American people to grasp this moment, to reform, really in a consequential way, the social order.
Yeah.
And the end in sight, that goal being this just, diverse, and united society, one that really increasingly reflects the oneness of the human family.
That's the mission. That's what we're exploring in this deep dive.
That's it.
We're going to unpack all these themes from the Baha'i writings, see how they all connect together, what it means for us, how this applies to our lives, our communities, and what it can do to really help shape society. We're going to look at this letter, go through each paragraph, and analyze what it's trying to convey, what it means, what the House is really sharing with the Friends in America. And the second paragraph really starts with a bit of a caution. I mean, right after this beautiful prayer, they point out, we need to look at the history of the nation.
Right.
We have to understand the context. And in that context, we see that progress toward racial equality has often been undermined by countervailing processes. So things that kind of push back against it.
It's this idea that progress isn't always linear. You have moments of great progress, and then there are forces that kind of push back.
Yeah, it's a really critical message, I think, for anyone working towards social change, to not get discouraged when you encounter those setbacks, because they are inevitable. It's not going to be a straight line to achieving this vision. And then they offer this very clear guidance, this very important principle that whatever the immediate outcome of contemporary events, you needn't be deterred.
Yeah.
And they bring in the Guardian's words to really emphasize that point.
Right. And the Guardian's words are so powerful. I mean, he describes it as a long and thorny road beset with pitfalls.
I mean, you can just picture it.
Beset with pitfalls.
So it's not a sprint. It's definitely a marathon. It requires this persistent, sustained effort, this real dedication and insight. I mean, they emphasize insight.
Yeah.
That we need to constantly be learning and applying these teachings of Baha'u'lláh to the reality that we face.
And this really speaks to this capacity building, right?
Absolutely.
That is so critical for the Baha'i community. It's this long-term vision, and we're building our capacity to contribute to this vision of a just society.
Yeah.
And then the paragraph ends with this incredible vision of the future, a time when this community will have contributed their decisive share to the eradication of racial prejudice from the very fabric of the nation.
I mean, what a vision, anticipated by Shoghi Effendi, who saw this. So
Yeah.
it's this really inspiring kind of goalpost, right, that's way out there to guide our efforts. But it makes you think, what does that decisive share really mean?
It does.
Right.
And I think that's part of what we're going to be exploring in this deep dive. And the next paragraph, paragraph 3, I think really starts to lay out some of the tools that we need to achieve this vision.
Yeah, the principles, the foundational aspect.
The guiding principles and exhortations.
Wow.
And I think it's really interesting that the House of Justice starts out by reminding the Friends that these principles are well known to them.
Yes.
From the writings of Abdu'l-Bahá and Shoghi Effendi.
Yeah, it's not like, here's something new. It's like, no, you already know this.
You already know.
You've been studying this.
You've been studying this.
And they even point out that the plans, the ongoing series of plans, have already been laying out these concepts and approaches for social transformation that are so relevant to fostering race unity in our communities through social action and engaging in these societal discourses. So it's a really... it's just grounding, right?
It's grounding.
To realize that we're not starting from scratch. We're building on this really strong foundation.
And I think it's a call to action in a way. You already know this. Now go back and study these principles. Go back and look at these concepts and approaches that have been given.
Yeah, and they go even further.
They do.
They call on every single believer to deeply meditate on Baha'u'llah's central principle of the oneness of humanity. And not just to think about it, right? Not just to agree with it intellectually, but to consider its demanding implications, right?
Its implications for how we think and how we act.
It requires a change in our thought and action.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something that's easy to overlook.
It's easy to just say, oh, yes, the oneness of humanity. I agree with that.
Right. It's a nice idea.
Yeah.
But this is about, like they say, a profound alteration.
Yes.
It's deep. It's fundamental.
Absolutely.
And then they bring in these just powerful quotes from The Guardian.
Yes.
That are so striking, reminding the American Baha'i community, the leaven destined to leaven the whole, that it can't escape the trial that the nation is confronted with. It can't claim to be wholly immune from these evils that are staining its character. And I think that's a really powerful image.
It is.
This idea that we are this transformative force, this leaven that's meant to influence the whole.
And it has to be in that society. It can't be separate from it.
Yeah.
And that means grappling with these issues, these difficult issues.
Yeah.
And they follow that up with another quote from Shoghi Effendi.
Yeah.
Saying a tremendous effort is required by both races.
Yes.
If their outlook, their manners, and their conduct are to reflect the spirit and the teachings of the faith.
Right.
And he goes on to say very clearly, let neither think that the solution of so vast a problem is a matter that exclusively concerns the other.
Yes, and he says that so clearly.
He does.
That it can't be one or the other, and also that it can't be easily or immediately resolved. So it's a call to action, but also a call to patience.
Yeah.
It's a call to long-term vision and understanding that this is a process.
It's a process.
Yeah.
And I think, to your point earlier, it's about not getting discouraged when we encounter setbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how the paragraph ends with this beautiful quote from Abdu'l-Bahá that says, each one should endeavor to develop and assist the other toward mutual advancement.
Mutual advancement.
And that love and unity will be fostered, thereby bringing about the oneness of mankind.
Yeah.
It's about this reciprocal growth.
Yeah, it's a partnership.
Yeah.
It's not about one group fixing the other.
No.
It's about this joint effort towards progress and unity. And the fourth paragraph gets really specific, I think, in addressing the issue of racism head on.
Yeah.
They call it a profound deviation from the standard of true morality. And I think it's important to highlight that.
It's not just an issue of social justice?
No, it's not just about fairness. It's a moral failing.
Yeah.
And they go on to explain how it deprives a portion of humanity of this opportunity for full development,
right,
a meaningful life. And actually, in the process, it hinders the progress of everyone.
Yeah, it's not just the group that is, the target of racism.
Yeah.
It harms everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Society as a whole is held back. And then this is where I think it gets even more potent, is that they say so clearly, racism cannot be rooted out by contest and conflict. And I think that's so important for us to reflect on, especially in a world where so much the discourse is about division and confrontation.
Yeah.
This is about a different approach.
Absolutely.
And the House of Justice really emphasizes that. They say we need to establish just relationships, relationships that are based on justice and equity among individuals, communities, and institutions of society.
Yeah, so it has to be at all levels.
All levels.
It's not just about individual change.
No, it has to be systemic.
Yeah.
And they say, the goal is to uplift all. And this key phrase, and will not designate anyone as other. And I think that's so central, right?
It is.
To the Baha'i vision of unity.
And it's a challenge.
Right.
It is a challenge.
Because so often in our society, we do otherize people.
Absolutely.
We create these categories and these divisions.
And it's so subtle sometimes.
It is subtle.
It's the way we think, the way we talk.
The way we talk.
And it's something we need to be so mindful of. And then they go on to say that this change that's required, it's not just social and economic.
It's moral and spiritual.
It's fundamental.
Yeah.
It comes from within. Yeah, and I think that's a key point that distinguishes the Baha'i approach to social change from other approaches.
Absolutely.
It's not just about external reforms.
Yeah.
It's about this inner transformation.
And it's that inner transformation that then fuels the external reforms.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the real power lies. And they offer some really concrete guidance here for us, for you, the listener.
Yeah.
They say, within the context of your activities, whatever they may be, carefully examine the forces unfolding around you. What are the things that are happening in your community, in your society? And look for those opportunities where your efforts can really support positive change.
Yeah.
Where can you be most effective? And also, what to avoid, right?
What might actually exacerbate the problem.
Yeah, what might create more division.
Yeah.
And then how to offer a unique contribution based on Baha'i principles.
Yeah.
So it's a call for discernment, right?
Yeah.
It's a call for thinking strategically about how we engage in the world.
And then there's a very important caution that the House of Justice gives, and that is that we shouldn't think that we can achieve Baha'u'llah's vision by just adopting the perspectives, practices, concepts, criticisms, and language of contemporary society.
Yeah, just jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah, just because something is popular or trendy doesn't necessarily mean it's in alignment with Baha'i principles.
Yeah, and I think that's a temptation sometimes, right?
It is.
To want to fit in, to want to be part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to be really careful to make sure that we're not compromising our principles in the process.
And I think it's about bringing those Baha'i principles to bear on these social issues. And they give such a beautiful description of what that Baha'i approach looks like.
They do.
Maintaining a humble posture of learning, weighing alternatives in the light of his teachings.
That's key, right?
Consulting.
Yeah, consulting.
To harmonize differing views.
And shaping collective action.
And marching forward with unbreakable unity and serried lines. It's a beautiful vision.
It is. And I think for the listener, it's important to reflect on, what does that mean for me in my own life?
Yeah.
How can I embody these principles?
Right.
How can I approach these complex issues with humility, with a reliance on the Baha'i teachings, with a willingness to consult, and with a commitment to unity?
And then paragraph 5 shifts our focus to the power of love.
Yes.
This is really the heart of the Baha'i message, isn't it?
It is.
This transformative power of love. And the House of Justice states so clearly that the power to transform the world is affected by love.
Love.
And it's a love that originates from our relationship with the divine.
Yes.
And radiates outwards into our communities, and it ultimately extends to every human being. It's universal.
Yeah.
And this divine love, they say, is ignited by the word of God and spread by enkindled souls.
It's a beautiful image.
It is.
These souls that are on fire, with this love, and they spread it through intimate conversations. Think about that. It's not about grand pronouncements. Mm-hmm. It's about those one-on-one connections, those heart-to-heart talks.
Where we can really listen to each other.
Yeah, and nurture new sensitivities, open minds to moral persuasion, and really start to weaken the hold of these biased norms and social systems that are so ingrained in our society.
Yeah.
It's about creating the space for transformation. And the House of Justice, they remind us that we are channels for this divine love.
Yeah.
Each one of us.
And they encourage us to let that love flow to everyone we encounter in our daily lives.
It's not something that we just do on special occasions. It's a way of being.
Yeah.
It's about infusing this love into every neighborhood, every social space, and building that capacity for what they call the society-building power of Baha'u'llah's revelation. Oh. And they end the paragraph with this incredibly powerful declaration.
Yeah.
There can be no rest until the destined outcome is achieved.
And I think it's important for us to reflect on that. What does that mean for us?
Yeah, that sense of urgency.
Yeah.
But also that long-term vision.
Yeah.
That this is a process that will continue until that vision is realized.
And then the final paragraph of the letter, I think, brings us back to the reality of what this work entails.
Yeah.
Acknowledging that there will be times of trial and promise.
Yeah.
Of hardship and progress.
Anguish and joy.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy.
No.
And it's not going to be always, sunshine and roses.
Yeah.
There will be challenges. There will be setbacks. But in the midst of all of that, the House of Justice offers this really incredible source of strength.
Right.
They say under all conditions, the master is your solace and your support.
Yeah.
And then they point to the life of Abdu'l-Bahá.
Yeah, as the ultimate exemplar.
Yeah.
They describe him as tactful and wise in his approach.
Penetrating in utterance.
Indiscriminating in fellowship.
Unfailing in sympathy for the downtrodden.
Courageous in conduct.
Persevering in action.
Imperturbable in the face of tests.
And unwavering in his keen sense of justice. I mean, what a description.
It is.
What a model.
And I think it's a reminder that this work of social transformation, it requires all of those qualities.
Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart.
No.
It requires courage, it requires wisdom, it requires perseverance, it requires justice.
And then they end the letter with this beautiful quote from Abdu'l-Bahá, this incredible promise to all who strive to follow his example. That which is confirmed is the oneness of the world of humanity. Every soul who serveth this oneness will undoubtedly be assisted and confirmed.
So, we've gone through this letter. Yeah. It's been quite a journey.
Yeah.
And I think several key insights really stand out.
Yes.
First of all, we're living in this incredible moment in history that's ripe with potential for social change, especially when it comes to addressing racial prejudice.
It's a global moment.
Yeah.
Even though the letter is addressed to the Baha'is of the United States.
Absolutely.
The principles apply everywhere.
Absolutely. And we also have to learn from history.
Yeah.
And realize that progress isn't always linear.
Yeah.
There will be setbacks. But we have this principle that guides us, that whatever the immediate outcome of events, you needn't be deterred. Keep going.
Keep going.
And this foundational principle of the oneness of humanity, this is not just a theoretical concept.
No.
This demands deep and ongoing changes in our thought, our actions, our interactions.
It has to permeate every aspect of our life.
Absolutely. And overcoming racism requires not just social and economic adjustments.
It requires a fundamental moral and spiritual transformation.
And that's fueled by love.
Yeah.
This divine love.
And the House of Justice really emphasizes that love has to permeate everything we do.
Absolutely. It's not just something we feel in our hearts.
No.
It has to be expressed in our actions and our interactions in our communities.
And the life and the assurances of Abdu'l-Bahá offer us both a model for how to do this work and a certainty of divine assistance as we go about it.
It's an incredible source of inspiration and encouragement. And, the letter is a call to action.
Yeah.
It's a call to each one of us listening to deeply contemplate these profound implications of the oneness of humanity in our own lives, and to find those ways to contribute to the eradication of racial prejudice and the building of a truly just and united society. And for those of you who are moved by this letter and want to delve deeper into these themes, we strongly encourage you to explore the writings of Baha'u'lláh, Abdu'l-Bahá, and Shoghi Effendi.
Yes.
There are so many passages that illuminate this principle of the oneness of humanity.
Yeah, and address the issues of justice and prejudice.
And also seek out other messages from the Universal House of Justice that specifically address social issues.
Yeah, there are many.
There are many. And one book in particular, The Promulgation of Universal Peace by Abdu'l-Bahá, offers a wealth of wisdom and guidance on achieving unity and fostering a peaceful world. Yeah.
And as a final thought, we invite you to consider, what are the specific practical steps you can take starting today in your daily interactions, within your families,
within your communities,
to really embody this principle of the oneness of humanity?
Yeah.
What is that one concrete action, however small it may seem, that you could commit to right now that will move us closer to that vision?
Yeah. What can you do today?
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. See you next time.
Bye for now.
Okay.